Hello and welcome to New Junction. Right, it's time to start some real progress on the layout. In this new mini-series I'm going to be tackling the station, particularly the canopy and the area at the back which is yet to be done, and also the groundwork just in front of the station, bringing you level with the work that's already been done over here. So the idea is all this will be done. Hopefully giving you a slightly better view of the scene now. As you can see, the bulk of the work will form the canopy, and I'll be covering that over, as well as completing the frame towards the rear. I also want to complete the ground-based scenery up here, up until roughly here, so that's probably 3 foot's worth of board at the front here, just to kind of tie it in with what we did earlier on the other side, and hopefully start filling in the gaps. It'd be nice just to put a temporary cover on top of the walls as well, just so we can begin to look a bit tidier. Now, believe it or not, the station is relatively new to the layout, and already there is some damage caused by weather and things, so it does need some TLC as well as the progress. Right, time to clear the trains away, get the power off, and get the canopy framing off the top. Because before we can go any further, we need to work on the foundation frame, which is what's holding the canopies as you see them here. Right, time to get on. So as you can see, the trains have gone, and the top part of the roof has been taken off, leaving just the base frame, which is extremely simple. It's just the plastic hard struts glued together with a bit of solvent weld, and hopefully it's very fragile, but it does hold the roof framing. Now, the scene I'm trying to go for is this part here and here and whatnot is fairly straight. The roof matches the layout underneath, as it were. If I take you to the left ever so slightly, to the rear corner, ignoring my mess, the scene underneath turns off because it's going round the corner to the layout. However, I want the roof to look as if it's continuing on to the back. So from the top it'll look as if the station continues on, whereas in reality it turns off to the left, or this way. What I need to do is build a frame around the edges, which will then support further sort of arches, the arch structure on top. So that's really my next job. I've got some more plastic strut to go around the edges, which will then hopefully allow a new roof canopy to sit on top and to join the ones at the front. As you can tell here, you can see my maze of wiring. I'm atrocious at doing anything electrical, and this is well and truly pushing me out of my comfort zone. So I'm hoping the new canopy, which will be for the most part covered with only small windows on top directly above the track, it should hire the bulk of this mess, as it were. But it's either have it like this and have lighting on the station, or don't do it at all. So I thought I'd give it a go. Other things I need to do. As you can see, my back wall here. Now, this has only just freshly been put in, but as you can see, it's already warped in the heat. It's only been hot for a bit. So small jobs like that. I've also got to finish my billboards on the back wall here, and I've got 2 more to be added, just so it lends itself to the scene. So that's a lot to be getting on with. First off, I'm going to put the supports on the corner, which will hold the next part of the frame. So getting straight on with the progress. The first bit is obviously the corner support. I've got myself some of this plastic strut, and this is the L-shaped version. The idea is to glue it to the back as so. Hopefully, once that's dried and solid, it'll become an anchor point to rest the canopy over the top. So if the canopy's on the top, it'll be able to sit on this, and hopefully this will be able to support enough weight. I'm going to be putting one at the back here as well. As ever, this is completely out of my comfort zone. I'm literally giving it a go. So if it fails miserably, I'll let you know in a few seconds, but otherwise, let's get on. So while that's all drying, the next thing to do is to measure up the supports which go through the actual arches themselves. These are literally just what I use to hold them all together in a relatively rigid shape. So this is a T-shaped piece. There's no real preference, it's just slightly bigger and hopefully slightly stronger. So all I need to do now is take the measurements from 2 points here and here for this one, same in the middle, and then one for the outer. I'm going to try and line them up as best I can and see if I can roughly make it fit. Of course, it'll start to look better when the cover goes on the actual arches, so that's the next job, to cut these down. Right, those first two supports have now been cut. I've also had another box full of these arches from Tory Laser. They're on eBay, and these are the 20cm ones. Now, the trick is just to line these up and then stick them to the supports, and hopefully it'll come together as before. So here we are on my workbench. As you see, I've got the two supports which I've just cut out laid down. I'm going to match the spacing on the first canopy. So what I tend to do is stick a bit of rocket car glue at the various points on each arch, thread it through, stick it in, leave it about 10 minutes, and that should set, and then it'll be stuck well enough to be able to do the next one, same again, and so on and so on. And then you're left with a nice brown version of this first canopy. So then it goes straight in the paint box and then gets sprayed white with some Halford primer. Easy peasy. I've got two of those to do in this fashion, and then I've got the back wall one where the arches will be in half to fit the back wall. In the meantime, while each one's drying, I can go and get on with some other bits. So as you can see, I've been having fun this evening making arches. You can see the three main ones are done. That's a half a one for the back, just there. And then of course I've got more drying on the table. Just needed to be made a bit longer. While these are drying, I do have some other jobs to be getting on with, and I'll just run you through what I've been doing now. So here's that bit of card that was on the back of the station that was all crinkled up and bent. What I've done is I've braced it up with some plastic struts. Now that's still drying, I've probably just moved it. And once that's dry, it should stop curling up as much and be easier to be fixed in position. So that's one job that's been done. Now when I was doing the framing, I did notice that when I was doing this part, this is going to be a weak spot. So it's actually not very good for load bearing compared to the first half. So what I've done is I've put together some of the struts, and I've just doubled up, and I've made myself a load-bearing beam, which is just still drying, but when that's in situ, that'll fit next to it as such, and that's much stronger, and that should hold up the new framing once it's dry. So I'm just preparing to leave the scene now for tonight, the work for tonight. I do have some glue left over from a previous project, so what I'm going to do is just quickly go over this part here, the baseboard, and just put down some ballast, and that can also dry overnight. So by morning, when everything's dry and in situ, it should look really good and hopefully start to come together nicely. Just like that, the scene has come together quite nicely. Right, it's quite late, it's about 1 in the morning. I'm going to go and let everything dry. I'm going to go to bed tonight, and you'll join me instantly, and it'll be tomorrow, and hopefully everything will be dry, and we'll have the roof frame on. And just like that, there we are. The new canopy top framing is on, and it's a bit fiddly, as you can imagine. It's a bit all over the place, but it works, and it hopefully looks the business. As you can see from this angle, it's really starting to come together. It's exactly what I wanted. So from the side angle, you can see the supports are nicely in line. Obviously you can see where I've done all the bulk of the work for this video, as they're unpainted, so you can see them there. The half arches at the back now are unselotaped. So previously, as you've seen them, they've literally just been a bit of folded over masking tape holding them on, but now they're fixed properly. This is all detachable, just in case we have a derailment behind the scenes. There's also some points underneath on this corner, so these parts will still need to come off. But next on the list is to get these sprayed, and then we'll get them covered over. But I think that's one for the next video. So as you can see behind my HST, I've got some billboards on the back wall. There's definitely room for another 2. So you can see there's 2 there, and I was going to put another 2 here and here underneath all that, just so when you're down at this level, you've got something to look at beneath it all, just to bring it out a bit more. I've used the scale model scenery kits again, and I've got the 2 ready to go, so I'll stick them on momentarily. So coming away from the station ever so slightly for a second, you can see my retaining wall here. In an effort to try and tidy it up and make it look a bit more finished, I have added another 4 arches, and I've also added some brick sheet, which will be underneath the road bridge, and I'll do that in the next series. But you can see we're just trying to fill in the gaps. What I may do is add a bit of ballast at the bottom there, so you get rid of the brown baseboard, and just fill it in nicely. Right, as you can see, we're slowly making progress. Whiz you around. It does start to feel complete now. The ballast is coming back up the layout on that side. It's starting to complete it ever so slightly. Obviously next on the list, I've got to take the wooden, I'm all over the place pointing, I've got to take the wooden framing off and get that sprayed next, and then we'll look at starting to coat it up with some windows and some roofing, which will really make the scene come together. Right, thank you very much for watching as usual. I'm now going to get straight on with the next video, but I'm going to end this one here. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.